Mainland vaccine scare widens. New Hong Kong banknotes unveiled. And up to 60 feared dead in Greece wildfires.
Good evening. More alarming details are emerging from the mainland's widening vaccine scandal. Some children are reportedly getting sick after being injected with other shots made by the problematic manufacturer. Winna Wong reports.
My child still can't breathe on his own. He needs the help of machines to stay alive. My wife is inside crying. I don't want to tell her to come out. Although medical workers are unable to confirm whether the toddler's condition was caused by the vaccine, Mr. Zhang firmly believes Changsheng Biotech is responsible. I will fight till the end. I must find justice for my son, he says. Elsewhere in the country, the same panic and sense of helplessness. It's such a dilemma. The children need their vaccines, but I don't know whether it's safe, says this caretaker in Shanghai. I am furious, really. She had taken her toddler to get a DPT shot, which is a 3-in-1 for diphtheria, whooping cough, and tetanus. Last week, the drug-making giant got its manufacturing license revoked after authorities found it had forged data for a batch of some 113,000 rabies vaccines. Several days later, the government also announced Changsheng had sold some 252,000 substandard DPT vaccines. The rabies vaccines, thankfully, had not been put out onto the market, but most of the problematic DPT shots had already been administered to young children in Shandong. The company's chairman, Gao Junfang, as well as 3 other executives, have since been arrested. Police in Changchun have now reportedly taken away another member of staff. Authorities are also looking into whether corruption was a factor. Winna Wong, TVB News.
Here in Hong Kong, the search for a paraglider who went missing on Lantau Island continued today. It has been 2 days since a 44-year-old man went missing. Rescuers expanded the search area even further as a man's cell phone signal was detected in the northern part of Lantau Island. The government flying service also participated in today's operation. The man, surnamed Chung, is a member of the Hong Kong Paragliding Federation with 3 years of paragliding experience. He went with the group to paraglide at Tai Tung Shan on Sunday, but gusts and thunderstorms reportedly blew them off course and dispersed them.
Hong Kong will soon have a new series of banknotes, as Sharon Tang reports. Among the 5 denominations, the $500 and $1,000 notes will be the first in circulation.
Unveiling the latest designs. For the first time, thematic subjects on the reverse side of the city's 5 banknotes will be unified with no differences between the 3 note-issuing banks. The themes are the International Financial Center, the UNESCO Global Geopark, Cantonese Opera, local butterflies, and dim sum antique culture. These features are incorporated in the 20, 50, 100, 500, and 1,000 banknotes. Last time changes were made was 2010. Norman Chan, Chief Executive of the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, said the number of counterfeit notes has remained low over the years. But he stressed that the HKMA must introduce a new series of banknotes at appropriate intervals to adopt the latest printing technology, making the notes difficult for counterfeiters to imitate or replicate. So what are some of the security features that are distinctive from the previous notes?
We also had a spark in the older series, but that spark is more a kind of a one-dimension sort of a rolling effect of the light bar. But for this one, you would be able to see a very 3-dimensional sort of a feel, kind of a circle in the spark, which is very distinctive and very easily recognizable even in normal sort of room light or daylight.
He also stressed that public education is key.
As an attempt to raise public awareness to tackle counterfeits, the HKMA will be holding roving exhibits and seminars in populated places such as Tsim Sha Tsui, Central and Sha Tin.
The $1,000 note will be ready for issue by the end of this year, while the $500 bill will be rolled out in the beginning of next year. Authorities will then announce when they will distribute the lower denominations in the middle of 2019. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
Overseas now, hundreds of people are missing and several feared dead after a hydropower dam under construction collapsed in Laos. The incident happened in a southeastern province. The dam collapsed yesterday and caused flash flooding through 6 nearby villages. More than 6,600 people are now homeless. The company in charge of the construction said heavy rain and flooding are to blame. Local officials have called out for relief aid. The dam was a joint venture between South Korean, Thai, and local companies. It was scheduled to begin operation this year.
Greece is currently grappling with several deadly wildfires raging out of control across the country. With up to 60 people dead and scores more injured, authorities are begging for help. 2 major forest fires broke out on either side of the Greek capital. One killer fire is destroying Mati Village, a popular seaside getaway for local tourists. That fire hit Monday afternoon amid a sweltering heat wave now plaguing Greece. Hundreds of people scrambled to the sea as the blaze closed in on them. Many were picked up by passing boats, but the Coast Guard retrieved bodies from the sea. Even more dead bodies were discovered in scorched cars near the shore. The problem is, those trying to flee on foot or in cars were no match for strong winds fanning the flames. One rescuer stumbled on a horrifying scene. He found the bodies of 26 people, adults and children, tightly huddled together just 30 meters from the beach. At least 100 homes have been gutted by the inferno. Lining the streets are at least 200 burnt-out cars. The army was drafted to help fight the blazes, but fearing that's still not enough, Greece issued an urgent appeal for help from the European Union. The fire brigade said they desperately need international ground and air assistance. A military transport plane is arriving with 60 firefighters from Cyprus, while 2 water-dropping planes are expected from Spain. Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras was seen helping out last night after cutting short his visit to Bosnia. Today, he expressed doubt that several major fires broke out at the same time, suggesting arson might be the cause. Since driving through fire like this is the only way out of the main Athens-Corinth motorway, it's now closed and train services have been canceled. Forest fires are common in Greece during the hot and dry summers. The worst occurred in 2007 when more than 60 people were killed. Still to come in our newscast, new batch of URA flats to target first-time buyers. HKU develops new system offering greater location accuracy. And more details about the Toronto shooter.
Sweats is fun.
Welcome back to TVB News. The Urban Renewal Authority Board has given the go-ahead for one of its projects to be used to help first-time home buyers. Despite some concerns about lost revenue, the government thinks the URA will still benefit. Caleb Leung reports.
It's official. Some 450 flats built by the Urban Renewal Authority will be sold exclusively to first-time home buyers. That's after the URA board agreed to the government's proposal to turn its project at Ma Tau Wai Road and Chung Tin Street into a pilot starter home scheme. The board has yet to decide on the details such as pricing and resale conditions, but there are members who said restrictions should be tightened.
We have not gone into detail about the restrictions of resale, but I have already raised out my concern that the resale restriction should be tightened to avoid any speculation. We need to provide affordable housing for those who really need the house.
The URA's managing director Wai Chi Sing earlier warned that if the flats are sold at 62 to 72% of the market price, the URA would suffer more than $1 billion in lost revenue. However, Alice Mack said the board decided that this should not be a factor for consideration. Meanwhile, the finance chief doesn't seem to be worried about the URA's financial situation.
For that particular project, they are going to give about 40% discount. I don't expect them to incur a lot of losses because the project was acquired quite a number of years ago. At a comparatively, at that time compared to now, a very reasonable cost.
But Chen did promise to provide support if the government changes the function of the URA.
But going forward, if Urban Renewal Authority is to be engaged into development of subsidized flat for sale, and if this is supported by the government, I think resources support will follow if required.
Caleb Leung, TVB News.
A University of Hong Kong research group has unveiled new technology to help people navigate their way around town. As Kena Chu reports, researchers say their system is more accurate than rival software.
This group of University of Hong Kong researchers said the current global positioning system tends to have a margin of error of 10 to 30 meters on average. To offer greater accuracy, they came up with new software and an app which can be installed on mobile devices. It operates using Bluetooth and transmitters installed in buildings. It works both indoors and outdoors.
The accuracy of this location information is about 3 meters. If it's not blocked by the walls, you can receive this signal within about 100 meters.
Simply by installing the patent-pending technology on buildings and front doors, users can pinpoint their whereabouts or navigate routes with the help of the app. Here's how it works.
Arrived at room 803.
By entering their location information, users can obtain precise directions to the exact buildings and rooms they are heading for. It's expected to be used in buildings, shops, and offices.
If we have a sort of like a floor area of 30,000 square meter, if 5 stories, and then with around 300 shops, the equipment cost is not that too expensive. You will see it's around $200,000, and then installation probably $100,000 per floor. But if you want to use a very precise gateway system with a 4-meter grid, etc., then the cost will go up to something like 2.8 million.
Ye said the device will be first tested by HKU freshmen in navigating the university campus in the new academic year. Kena Chu, TVB News.
Legislator Ma Fung Kwok is urging the government to subsidize broadcasters for the rights to televise major sports events. The cultural sector lawmaker noted that not all international events are broadcast for free in the territory. Local free-to-air stations have to compete with other broadcasters for the airing rights. He's asking the government to subsidize private broadcasters to air events or have the public broadcaster collaborate. This way, he says, Hong Kong people would get to enjoy more sports programs and show their support for local athletes. Government has so far expressed reservations about the idea.
Overseas again, in Toronto, new details are emerging about a shooter who went on a rampage and killed 2 people. The gunman had an apparent history of mental illness. Peter Coveos has that story.
A day after the violence, Toronto was in mourning. Residents held a vigil to honor the 2 victims. 18-year-old Reese Fallon was set to go to university this fall.
She's very nice. She was beautiful. She was one of the very smart students with math school.
Nursing, yeah. What were your interactions with her like? Were you friends or your classmates?
Yeah, classmates and classmates. Yeah, and her parents are friends as well.
The city's mayor also attended the service at a local church.
You know, to spend an hour like that in a church where it was all about love and it was all about praying for all the people, especially starting with the victims, of course, and our hearts continue to go out to the people who were victimized by this.
Sunday night, 29-year-old Faisal Hussein began a shooting spree and killed 2 people and injured 13 others. His family issued a statement that said he suffered with severe mental challenges and medication did not help. But that information doesn't mean police are any closer to finding a motive.
We do not know why this has happened yet. The investigation itself is very fluid. It is very new. It's going to take some time. And because of that, I'm certainly not going to invite any type of speculation.
Toronto considered itself a safe city, but for the second time in 3 months is dealing with violence. The shooting comes 3 months after a driver of a van plowed into pedestrians on a sidewalk, killing 14 people. Peter Caveos, TVB News.
Pakistan's transition to democratic rule faces severe challenges amid accusations this year's election campaign is among the dirtiest ever. This as the country prepares to make history tomorrow by electing a third straight civilian government. According to Pakistan's Independent Human Rights Commission, the campaign has been characterized by attempts to manipulate the outcome. That includes silencing the media and intimidating candidates. At the center of most allegations is the powerful military establishment. That, along with the intelligence agency ISI. They are seen as trying to prevent the Pakistan Muslim League, the party of disgraced Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, from returning to power. And we close out our program on a rather big note. To the discovery of what could be the planet's largest ever creature. Scientists in Argentina have unearthed the fossils of this massive dinosaur. It's being called Ingentia prima. Its name means first giant. It was a plant eater and roamed the earth about 210 million years ago. It was up to 10 meters long and weighed about 10 tons. And that's a wrap of our news.
Thanks for joining us.